It was March 12, 5 days before the US deadline on Iraq. People were leaving the country to run away from the impending war, and we were just about to come in. We could almost read the minds of the immigration officers every time we told them where we were going. Who are these bunch of people crazy enough to go to Iraq at this time? We were a group of Asians who called ourselves the Asian Peace Mission. There was Representative Loretta Rosales, a member of the Philippine Congress from a progressive political party. Walden Bello, Executive Director of a research and advocacy institute that works in India, at Thailand, and the Philippines. Zulfikar Gondal, member of the Pakistani National Assembly. Tita Sari, president of a workers' front in Indonesia and recipient of Asia's equivalent of the Nobel Prize. And Representative Hussein Amin from the province in the Philippines where the Americans are set to hunt down a terrorist group. We were crazy enough to want to stop a war. We knew we were not going to do it alone, but we wanted to add to that tremendous expression of protest that had erupted all over the world to oppose an illegal war for oil and empire. All our friends and families were telling us not to go, at least not at that time. We were worried that we could get trapped there when the fighting begins. But when we got to Iraq, we knew why we had absolutely no right to be afraid. We would leave as soon as Bush announces the start of war. But the Iraqis we saw and met, they would be there when the bombs fall. We visited a hospital where we met just some of the thousands of sick children who have been denied treatment and medicine because of the economic embargo. According to the United Nations, 500,000 children have already died as a direct result of the economic sanctions.
I hope he will be improved if the drug is continue. If the drug is not continue,
he's getting treatment.
He's on the first course of treatment, but if the treatment stop, the easy relapse and complication happen, and we may lose the child.
We met cancer patients and their mothers, just waiting for the hour to come. We met Salah, a 5-year-old leukemia patient who's only waiting for certain death, without even the benefit of anesthesia. They said we would only be comforting Saddam Hussein by going to Iraq. Obviously, they have never seen the face of Salah. It is children like Salah who would suffer most from this war.
And he is in a terminal stage. We expect we lose him within a few days or weeks.
After visiting the dying, the mission went on to visit the dead. During the first Gulf War, as the US-led coalition began pounding Baghdad with bombs, scores of families rushed to a bomb shelter to hide. But the thick walls of the shelter proved to be no help. A daisy cutter bomb fell on its roof and exploded.
How many children died?
54 children and women.
Women and children.
Women and children, 269.
And all in all, 407.
Yes, all of them, 407.
407 people, a number that State Secretary Colin Powell is not terribly interested in, were instantly killed, roasted and charred beyond recognition. Most of them were women and children. The pictures of these 407 war crime victims now line some of the halls of the Al-Amiriya shelter. The walls are still black from the ash in the soot. Mangled and bent wires and rods snake across the pillars. Dark and thick bloodstains forming the outline of the bodies of the victims still mark the floors. We visited the Baghdad University where, to our surprise, it was just another ordinary school day as usual. Students were milling on the school's corridors, playing volleyball on the grounds, or in one class, studying William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. The team walked into this class and spoke with college students. To Bush's claim that the US will be liberating Iraq, one student quipped, "That's what they all said."
Well, we have to live our lives, we have to go on, and we can't do anything, we just have to go on. He's not allowing us to live our lives normally, so we're just like, we're there, we're playing, and we won this match, but I don't know what's going to happen later on, but I think we'll survive. We're survivors.
They said they went to class because they wanted to show that they're not afraid, that they will not allow war to get in the way of their education. In Baghdad, we also met with scores of other international anti-war activists who have converged in Iraq to express their solidarity, not with Saddam, but with the would-be collateral damage of this war. Some of them plan to stay on even during the war, even if that meant that they might have to become collateral damage themselves. As we marched through the streets of Baghdad with them, it became inspiringly clear and symbolic how people from all over the world are coming together to oppose this war. By March 17, even though we wanted to stay on for a few more days, frantic embassy officials were begging us to leave. The team came out of Baghdad hours before the deadline of the US ultimatum, convinced of at least one thing. This will not be a war against Saddam Hussein. This will be a war against the Iraqi people, half of whom are children. They have been suffering from an ongoing war waged in the form of economic sanctions, and their suffering will only be exacerbated by another war.
This is the border.
As we watched the television at home in Jakarta, Karachi, and Manila, the dark skies over Baghdad had been lit with a flashing hail of bombs. We tuned in to the news, hearing about public markets and universities hit by bombs, hospitals overrun with the injured and the dead. Images of the sheer terror of being in the same city that we were in under a rain of bombs. We put those images side by side our memories of the hospital, of the university, of the memorial, of the smiling children, the playful students, the ordinary people in the street. We wonder whether they're still there. We wonder what we who are still here can do for those who are still there. The bombings have stopped, but the war is not over.